Hello everyone, and welcome to this review of LeHarve, the board game, aimed by Z-Man Games. LeHarve is a 1 to 5 player resource management game with the theme of working with a French harbor town. The game has a very basic mechanic, making it very easy to learn, with a layer of complexity that builds as the game goes. In the game of LeHarve, the objective is to make the most money. You do this by collecting resources, as well as interacting with buildings and ships, all while managing to keep up with an upkeep of food, else risk taking out high interest loans to keep up. Your turn is very simple. Move your ship pieces forward in the port to add supplies to two of the various resource stockpiles and act as a turn counter for the round. Then either take all the resources from one of the stockpiles or use one of the unoccupied buildings. Also, during your turn, you are able to use what money you have to buy buildings and or ships and can sell these for half their value. As the game goes on more buildings will be put into play, each giving you different options. While the three buildings that start in play are just to build other buildings from the building queue, the ones added later let you mainly gather, refine, and sell resources, as well as one or two with more players to build ships. Many of the buildings have costs to use them, and must be paid to the owner, be that the town or another player. Ships help you lighten your food upkeep for the end of end of each round and ship off materials for more money. Through a combination of these means, you want to try and gain as many francs, both in coin and value of buildings and ships. Whoever has the most wins. Now, the things that I find positive about this game are that honestly, it's got like I said earlier, it's got a very simple baseline mechanic, and the whole game is built upon that. It makes the game very easy for new players to pick up, and for anyone to ease back into it after a long time of not playing it. Also, the pieces are very nicely designed, and specifically the various chits making up the resources and also the cards. All 8 of the 9 resources, all except for the francs, are actually dual-sided. With the basic version on one side and the refined version on the other, as are tokens to help you keep track of how much bonus food you have towards your upkeep, listing a different number on either side, some of which having multipliers for resources to make tracking easier, and even the ships themselves have a different use on the back, as on the back they are the what happens at the end of the round information, and also the round counter themselves. While the game is very long, and I'll get to that later, there is also a short version of the game where you pretty much start somewhere with more resources and a more of a setup in the game. The game also makes it very easy to know what's used for the short setup and what isn't. Along these lines, it also makes the game very easy to scale with for multiple players, as the round tracker cards that are also the boats and the buildings themselves, while also having the short version marked for easy setup, they also have each number of players set up listed very clearly, all the way from 1 through 5. Another benefit of the game is all the mechanics are clearly explained in the rules. Some games have vague rules, but in LeHarve, everything is there with a description and for every building, too, leaving few unanswered questions. Although the expansion, which should come in newer copies of the game, has some buildings that aren't fully explained. Now, on to what I find negative about this game. As I said, the game is really long. Um, I rarely see this a game get to the table because most people don't want to sit around and play a game for that long. Sure, it can be played really quickly if all the players know how to play. But if anybody's either new or is not making quick decisions quickly, which they shouldn't be forced to do, the game can slow down very easily. Also, while the game can be played as single player, it's not best to do so. I only recommend it for or learning the mechanics of the game or practicing. Um, Honestly, I recommend it at 2 to 4 players. Five is still good, but I I think the mid range is better. Um, as another note, the board itself is not a fold-up board like majority of cardboard, well, boards are for games. It's a three separate pieces, and they slide around really easily and can knock things out of place and make it very annoying. But it's really just an annoyance at that. But on that note, there's also way too many at times of the various resources that if you don't stack them correctly, their various stockpiles will end up all over the place. Not stacked, they'll take up more space than is allotted for them. Lastly, very few elements of the game change from one session to another. Er, Only the uh, order of the turn trackers, which tell you what resources come out at each turn, change the order themselves. There are only 7 spots and only 7 of these. While you don't know them the first time around, they remain the same throughout the game. Also, the building queue changes. The basic building queue changes its order, but it's still the lower buildings will come. The earlier buildings will still come out earlier. It's just what of the three stacks are they and where are they in comparison. The only thing that really changes from game to game beyond, well, other players is the special buildings, which, but out of a stack of those, only 3 of them can come out into the game. Now, as for who I recommend this game for, I would recommend this game aim for anyone who likes to play games where you can plan out your moves, and want to do with as little random elements as possible in your game once you've started, like chess. Also, if you're looking to get into modern board gaming that can have a heavy thinking element into it, I would say give this a try since it can be very easy due to the simple mechanics. And of course, if you like the French port theme, that's always a bonus. Now, who I wouldn't recommend this for is any group of players where one player will excel at the game and is not able to hold back, as the difficulty is purely based on those who you are playing it with. This is unless you don't mind them running away with the victory. Um, Also, I would not get this if you're looking for a short game, because again, it's a long game. The recommended time from two to anywhere from 2 to 5 players for the full version is 1 hour to 3.5 hours. In closing, I feel LeHarve is a wonderful game, but due to its heavy time requirement, I rarely see it played. LeHarve is generally around $60, but as a warning, it does have printing issues, and is not always in print. But I did read that it will be going back into print the later this year. So keep a lookout for it. Well, that's all for the review itself. I do have a bit more on really how I want to do these reviews, but if you don't want to stick around, that's all. Thank you for watching, and like the video if you enjoyed. Please leave a comment if you want to, such as other games you may want me to review. If you didn't enjoy the video, feel free to dislike it. If you want to see more like this, feel free to subscribe. With that said, thank you for sticking around at this point. Wait, I honestly at this point I just wanted to go over how I will be going about doing board game reviews, since this is my first one. Um, I've decided to go. Honestly, I decided to go with LeHarve for my first review. due to it being the game that made me realize that I love modern board gaming. Um, I would like to keep things similar to how I did the review here, where I go over the basics of the game and my thoughts of how it plays, followed by what I feel is both good and bad about the game. I want to keep the recommendations away from simple yeses and nos, and rather, like I did here, say who I feel the game is good for, or who should avoid it. I will rarely give a flat recommendation of yes, get this game, or no, don't. And generally, that will be this game should be enjoyable for all, or this game is insulting or rude and should not be even on shelves. Um, Also, I will be attempting to go through my collection of games first before I move on to other games. And I also have a quite a few Kickstarter board games eventually coming. Most of them are miniature sport games, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game that I did my first unboxing video of. If you have any ideas on the process I have here, be it refining or reinforcing it, please feel free to share those in comments. I, uh, that's all. Thank you for sticking around for this little extra bit at the end. Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.